She felt her heart rate increase as she went through her usual bedtime routine of putting the kids to bed, brushing her teeth, setting up the camera in her bedroom, and turning out the lights. She couldn't believe what she saw on the video. She couldn't believe what she'd missed while she was sleeping. How could something that was right in front of her face not wake her up? What really went down that night? Melanie Darnell is a mother of 3 and a fitness expert who is vegan. She also has 100,000 people who follow her blog. She juggles taking care of her kids and sticking to a strict workout schedule to stay healthy. In reality, though, many people had no idea what was going on. Even if they did, no one would have believed her. Melanie met her husband, Paul, when she was 18 and going to college. It was almost like falling in love at first sight. Everyone who knew them thought they would get married, and they did. After 7 years, they got married, and soon after, they had 3 kids and a dog. She thought things were going exactly as she had planned, but she was wrong. Melanie was a popular fitness blogger and mother of 3. Her husband was also a busy man. Paul is a stuntman, so he frequently has to spend several days away from home at a time. Melanie loved her busy family life, but things started to get weird when she was home alone. No one would have ever guessed that Melanie had terrible bouts of tiredness. Strange sounds started coming from her house 10 months ago, and that's when everything started. She thought it was just a wind blowing through the trees or the creaking of the old wooden house. But when it happened every time, she had to stop telling herself lies. Melanie has felt like she didn't get any sleep almost every day for the last 10 months when she woke up. But lately, the quiet noises that were waking her up in the middle of the night have been getting louder and louder. She thought it was time to find out what was making her so tired. But what she'd find would make her gasp for air. Melanie put the kids to bed and then went to her room to sleep. But this time, she was sure she wouldn't sleep. She would stay up all night to figure out what the sound was and follow it to where it came from. But her plan didn't quite work out the way she thought it would. After 2 hours of trying to keep going even though she was tired, she passed out. Then she had a thought. If this noise was always bothering her, it had to be bothering her husband as well. They did sleep in the same bed, after all. She decided to tell her husband, who was away making a movie, about it. She talked about it in a casual way, thinking he would say it was just a house, but what he said scared her. Set up a camera with night vision and see what's going on, her husband told her. If you're not sleepwalking, something very strange must be happening to you. His advice made her even more afraid. Melanie thought about all the old horror movies she had seen when she was younger. Would Freddy Krueger come to visit her in the night? She shook when she thought about it. She realized all of a sudden that there might be more to this than she thought. There was, too. Melanie put the phone down after talking to her husband and looked up the signs of sleepwalking. Did she walk in her sleep? If she was, that would explain why she was so tired. Melanie read the list of signs and realized that she had a lot of them. The thought that she might need help made her heart beat faster. But first, she had to know for sure. So she did what her husband told her to do. But what she found was nothing like what she thought she would find. After putting her kids to bed that night, Melanie slept on the couch. She was too scared to sleep in her room alone, and she was afraid she would fall down the stairs while she was sleeping. She got ready for a better night's sleep and decided to buy a night cam at the store tomorrow. She wasn't away from the noise, so she wasn't sure if she'd sleep better tonight. But the noise was getting worse. Melanie woke up the next morning feeling just as uneasy as she had felt all the previous nights. Only this time, a vague memory of the night gave her a chill. She had to figure out what was going on with her. She lay on the couch and tried to keep her mind on the image that was starting to fade as she fell asleep. Her eyes got bigger. She remembered briefly waking up and feeling someone's breath on her face. She was a heavy sleeper, so when she woke up, she turned over and fell back to sleep. But now she knew how important that moment was. She woke the kids up and ran to the camera store that was closest to her. Just around the corner was the unbelievable truth. As she got herself and the kids ready for bed that night, her heart raced. She put the camera at the foot of her bed on the ceiling and turned off the lights. She got ready for another bad night of sleep and eventually fell into another restless sleep, not knowing what was about to happen right under her nose. The next morning, she got the video camera ready and made coffee with a lot of nerves. Now she was ready to find out what went on at night. She pressed play with a slightly shaky hand. She saw herself leave her room to put her kids to bed on the video, and then there was nothing but silence. Melanie watched herself as she shuffled quietly in bed until she fell asleep. At first, it seemed like everything was fine. She pressed the fast-forward button as hard as she could, hoping that she wasn't sleepwalking and that no one who shouldn't have been there would show up. But that's exactly what happened. Melanie jumped and stopped the video. She hit the rewind button and watched it again because she was so shocked. When she saw a small person open her door and climb up on her bed, her eyes popped. She didn't know anything at all as she watched herself sleep. Then, two more shadows came through the door and looked over her from the corner of her eye. When one came so close to her face, her jaw dropped and she wondered how she could have slept through this. What went wrong? Melanie was fast asleep on the video, but her bed was slowly turning into a party. After putting her kids to bed at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. a couple of times, they came back at 2 a.m. Melanie was too tired to wake up because of the noise, but she was still upset by it and tossed and turned as she slept. Melanie then saw something that made sense of the breath. As her children came into her room, her dog came after them. He jumped up on the bed and hovered over her as he licked and smelled her face. What was most interesting about this was how Melanie reacted. Even though she looked like she was sleeping and couldn't remember anything, she was acting like she was awake. She would hold her baby and move her hair out of the way when he pulled on it. She looked like she was both awake and asleep. It made everything clear. She was so shocked by the video that she shared it on her platform. She said, "Being a parent doesn't end when the sun goes down." She said, "When we're up with our babies in the middle of the night, let's think of all the other parents who are up with their babies at the same time and take comfort in the idea that we're all cradling our babies in the dark of our homes at the same time." From one mom to the next, the post got a lot of attention. Melanie wanted people to know that being a mother is hard and never ends. She also wanted everyone to see parts of being a mother that don't get talked about very often. It's not easy, and moms get a lot of criticism, but no one knows what they go through every day. Even Melanie has gotten her share of bad comments. Melanie is a young mom who writes about her family and life online. Because she does this, she often leaves herself open to harsh criticism online. Critics often ask her why she shares so much of her family and kids online and why she has such a busy life with her job and kids. But Melanie does everything for the sake of her family and kids at the end of the day. She wouldn't be able to support her kids and give them the life she wants for them if she didn't share her life and let people see her family. It's hard to always make the best choice, but as long as you do your best, take care of yourself, your kids, and your family, and feed them with love, you can't go wrong. Melanie shows that every single day.